Hey, this is Matthew, and welcome back to Nerd News Today. And in this episode, we are finishing our look at the first wave of Super7's New Japan Pro Wrestling action figures. And of course, that final figure we haven't looked at just yet is the aerial assassin himself, Will Ospreay. Will is the first smaller wrestler in this series. In fact, you guys can see the accessories he comes with are from his New Japan Cup 26 victory, which has got the trophy and sword we'll talk about a little bit later on. So it's going to be interesting to see how he looks body-wise compared to the other figures. But before we talk about that, let's go ahead and just take a quick look at his packaging. And just a heads up before I start going too deep, I already did a video where I looked at all four figures together. I gave my thoughts on the price point, on the articulation as a whole, just kind of an overview of the entire wave. So if you just want to see that, go ahead and check out this link, or better yet, watch it after this, because I'm going to go a lot more in depth on things I don't really discuss as much in this video. So every New Japan Pro Wrestling figure, and basically every Super 7 figure ever, comes first in a brown mailer box. That's to keep it protected while it's in the mail. Make sure it comes to your house as mint as possible. Once you take it out of the brown mailer box, you get then the figure that you're seeing here, except it's covered in an additional lid. And that lid has a sort of metallic New Japan logo on the front of it too. And if this sounds familiar to you, that's because I said this exact phrasing in my last 3 videos. Why say it again when I don't have to? But once you do slide the lid off of him, you'll see here we get a great window into what this toy comes with. And there is a lot that it comes with here. It's got a lot of great accessories. I really like how the front of the box has this ring on it too. You can see the ropes, you can see the turnbuckles. It's got the blue corner, the red corner, which is the thing that they do in New Japan. Makes it feel a lot more like an actual fight. It's pretty nice packaging, although it is a little short, a little squat, kind of bulky. Nothing to really talk about on the sides either. You just see that the ropes continue around the back. And speaking of, on the back, we've got the Super 7 logo. We again have the New Japan logo. We've got Will Ospreay, his name in Japanese, and then an English bio and some of his statistics along with his Twitter handle. But of course, we're not mint on card collectors, so let's go ahead and elevate this review. That's a subtle kind of pun, right? Yeah, I'll leave it in. All right, so let's just get rid of the puns here. Let's take our Will Ospreay out of the box and get him into the ring. All right, and here is our Will Ospreay figure, all out of the package now. So I believe this outfit is from the Best of the Super J Cup 26. That's when he won it. So now you got some context to what this outfit is meant to be from. So let's jump right in and talk about this entrance gear he has, because that's pretty iconic as well for this. And I think the entrance gear is very good looking. It's very accurate, I'm sure, too. But it's a little puffy. It looks a little bit big on him. That part I don't like so much. It's kind of cartoonish and makes it look a bit more doll-like than I think it's meant to be as well. Or if anything, it looks like he's going to go out for a stroll during the winter. It definitely is a little too big for me, and that part kind of doesn't work. It's unfortunate because there's a lot of detail put into this. Clearly, there's a lot of love put into this. And it does look great, but it is just a little too big for him. It definitely looks oversized. So, you know, a few points docked there. I'm glad they did it, though. I wouldn't have liked it if they didn't include it. It's just unfortunate that it's so kind of thick on him. So we got a Velcro piece here. All right, that's cool. And hey, look what's hiding underneath him. We've got another IWGP Championship belt. Let's go ahead and get this jacket off here. So I've already talked in depth about the championship belts. All right, this is cool. Actually, before I talk about that, I do want to actually bring up this point here. So the inside of the jacket, it's actually got kind of a different material. So you've got a few different materials on this. That's nice. That's a good little detail. I appreciate that. So yeah, I've already talked in depth about the action figure belts here and how I wish they kind of had a little bit more luster, a little bit more shine to them. Case in point, let me bring in a WWE belt and an AEW belt. You can see what I mean here. The belts are nice, but, you know, I want them to shine more, and I wish they could do that. But otherwise, the detail on the belt is looking pretty decent, at least. And this is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship belt. So, you know, it looks good, but there's definitely some detail I feel like missing within the medallions. You know, there's some really good custom belt makers out there, like Forbidden Figurines. Hopefully she gets to making some belts of her own from this line, which I think she's going to. These are things that, you know, I was hoping to get some great New Japan belts, and they kind of scratch the itch, but they're definitely not quite there. So I've already talked a lot about that. We'll just move on from here. This is the belt enclosure system, which really, really frightens me because of how rubbery these little bits in the back are. Look at how they stretch. Like, they really concern me. I'm so worried about those ripping at some point. And I know when Brian Myers did his review, in fact, of the figures, like, he had one that already came ripped. So, you know, definitely watch out for that. So Will Ospreay comes with 2 head sculpts. You can see them here. So let's talk about likenesses. And I think Ospreay is definitely upper echelon of likenesses we've seen so far with these figures. They both look excellent. Great detail in the forehead and the teeth especially. I like that this is a grimacing head too. I like this is more action-packed, whereas this other head here, it's more plain, just kind of generic, stagnant face. Good to have that variety. I think you need that variety. And I also appreciate that the hair looks different too. So these are 2 completely different head sculpts, top to bottom. Excellent job on all of these. And good paint too on them. Excellent paint detail. You know, I've talked a lot on Mattel figures, especially how like the beards never look good or the stubble never looks good. This looks right. These look very good. So definitely top-notch work on the head sculpts. Now this figure in particular really reminds me of those Toy Biz figures I talked about earlier and how like they had those kind of weathering effect on it, the shading, the toning effect on the body. And I like that because, again, it hides the fact that there's probably two different tones of plastic here, two different types of plastic that they're using on the figure. Will Ospreay, it definitely looks really good. It reminds me so much of the TNA Toy Biz figures. Like, wow, I get those vibes immediately, and I love those vibes. I think those are great toys. It's cool to see them doing that. I think it was a very smart choice. It also does help separate them a lot from what Mattel and from what Jazzwares are doing, and really what other companies are doing. I don't really think even Boss Fight is doing that tone look either for them, so that's kind of cool. I like that effect. Now, body-wise, I think he has the exact same sculpt as Tanahashi does here, unfortunately. But hey, I mean, you can't have independent sculpts for every single guy. It's going to only be a matter of time before they reuse bodies. That's not a problem here. I mean, this line is so young or whatever, not a big deal to me. But definitely something worth noting that they are essentially the same bodies, just painted differently. But that's always the case with wrestling figures. And come on, we're not going to nitpick too much about that, because even I think the legs are going to be identical in everybody's figures here. I think what is kind of different is his kick pads. I don't think anybody else so far in the line has kick pads in their stuff here. So that's different, that's unique, and those are looking cool. I like the paint job on that. And yeah, let's talk about this outfit as a whole. You know, there's not much to talk about the upper body, but I think otherwise, you know, this looks really nice. Good paint job. I like it a lot. And let's see, this is very stiff. Yeah, so just like I talked about earlier, you can see here, you can see some creases on the sides here. So the material for his crotch is a little bit rubbery, and so it gives it a little bit of an interesting look to it. Very unique look that no other company has done before. If anything, it's kind of closer to like what Storm Collectibles has done, but not quite even. It's very unique to them. So I still like that a lot. I think it's a really cool choice they made. Paint job is also very clean on all the stuff on his pants too. Not really seeing any slop issues. Looking pretty high quality. You know, definitely getting what you paid for here. And I also really like his boots and those little blue bits on them too. The one thing that's kind of a little bit janky for me would be his wrist tape here. So it's like kind of fleshy colored. I don't know if that's accurate. I feel like it's not meant to be that color. It's probably meant to be a little bit more of a brighter white. This definitely is kind of like he's been in the match already. He's been in the ring and it's kind of, you know, beat up, but I don't know. It's a little too pale for me. You can kind of even see some like the weathering paint getting in there. So I don't know if that's meant to be brighter or what the deal is. It's just something that kind of irks me a little bit. So in terms of accessories, we already know that every single New Japan figure comes with 12 hands, which equates to 6 different sets of hands total. Ospreay's hands are different because, well, they're actually toned to his color, so that's a first. Everybody else has the same color paint on their hands. So in addition to those hands, he also comes with the Best of the Super Junior Cup Championship trophy here. That's a lot of words. It's a trophy. That's what you need to know. He comes with the trophy, and he also comes with a katana that he won as part of that event, too. So I think let's go ahead and try swapping some hands out just to see if you can actually hold these items here. So I think the hand that's going to ultimately hold the sword the best is actually the one that has the tape, which is like such a weird thing, and it's unpainted tape, and yes, it is very annoying that it's unpainted. Let's use this open hand here. I think that should hold the trophy all right. And everything goes in nice and smooth. Let's put the sword in. So the sword also, decent detail. You know, there's not really a lot of detail on the handle. It works fine from a distance. I think it looks good. Let's get the trophy in his hand too. I think this should be actually a perfect fit. The key is just getting it balanced so he stands up, but there you go. That's what it looks like with the sword in hand and with the trophy in hand too. Let's position it down there so you can get a better look at that sword. Yeah, I think these look good. These are really great accessories actually, and I think they're going to be really handy to have for figure photography. But again, it's just so weird that he's got the hand tape and whatever. We're not going to nitpick about it too much. We've already talked about that in so many other videos. So let's talk about articulation. I'm going to bring in the usual suspects to help us talk about that. So starting with, I'm going to have a Mattel Elite Kurt Angle. This is him from, I think it's like a Survivor Series outfit from, I guess, three or 4 years ago, whatever it was. And I'm also going to bring in an Ultimate Edition John Cena figure to show us kind of some more upgraded articulation that we're getting from Mattel these days. So as I've talked about in the past already with these videos, there's a few things missing that they don't have that the other figures do have. So the number one thing is that all of the Mattel figures have a thigh joint, and it's kind of covered up by the shorts in this case here, but they all have a thigh joint where they can move their thighs. The Super 7 toys do not, and they also do not have boot articulation. The boots are static, they do not move, whereas the WWE figures do. Now the difference between the Ultimate Edition figures and these is, again, the type of buck they have. So Cena has the more natural buck over here. They also have the double jointed elbows and double jointed knees, and plus the toe, which is whatever. Now on that same note, how do the AEW figures compare to that? Well, let's bring in one over here. So again, very similar to the Ultimate Edition. The only difference is kind of just the toe joints missing. So that part is there. So that's one thing to note. And then I'm going to bring in my Storm Collectibles Jushin Liger, just so you can see how he stands up. So Liger also has a butterfly joint in his chest, which none of these figures have except for the Ultimate Edition. The Ultimate Edition has that. But there's no toe joint on him. Actually, no, I'm sorry, there is a toe joint. I just realized that. There is a toe joint on him too. So You know, the Super 7 figures have a long way to go to catch up, and I also want to mention, you know, Boss Fight Studio is doing their wrestling figures, and their figures have a ton of articulation, double jointed elbows as well. So, you know, if Super 7 is going to go into the world of pro wrestling, they got to think more about articulation, because we want that heavy articulation. So that's of that. So overall, final thoughts here on my Will Ospreay figure. You know, it's kind of like what I've been saying in all these videos here. You know, I wish he had more articulation. I wish the belt was shinier. In his case, I wish the entrance gear was a little bit thinner, but I'm not going to really worry too much about that because that type of material always tends to look bulky. I mean, we've seen the Rocky figures look just like that too. I love that they included so many hands. I especially like both head sculpts. Both head sculpts are really strong. These are definitely some of the better ones in this wave here. Very clean paint job on the pants too. And you know, again, as much as I think the outfit is kind of bulky for the entrance gear, it still looks great. So again, I think it's another good entry, worth 45 bucks. I would say yes, this is a premium figure. It's an adult collector item as well. It's a small run of these guys, and you are getting a lot of bang for your buck with this product. Plus you get a katana. I mean, they can just give that to anybody. That's kind of fun to have. But of course, there is plenty of room for improvement, and it's going to be a while before that happens, but I hope that Super 7 listens to the fans, gives us what we want, and makes a few adjustments if they continue to do pro wrestling toys, because I really, really want them to do that. So that's our look at Will Ospreay from Super 7's first wave of New Japan Pro Wrestling figures. If you want to see Will stacked up with the other figures in this wave, as well as more thoughts on why I think the pricing is okay, and a bunch of other things I didn't cover in this video, check out my review of all 4 of the guys that I mentioned at the start of this. That's going to be my overview and my encompassing thoughts for the entire wave and what I want to see in the future. It's probably more important to watching this review, in fact, so go ahead and make sure you click that video and get the whole story about these toys. So that's it for New Japan Pro Wrestling Series 1. It's going to be a while before Series 2 comes out, unfortunately, so we got a bit of a wait here. But hey, there's plenty more stuff on this channel, so if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to Nerd News Today and see all the pro wrestling content that we do here on a regular basis. So until next time, I'm Matthew. Thanks for watching. Keep that fighting spirit burning. You guys know the rest. I'm going to go take some more photos of these toys because, yeah, these are pretty darn cool. See you guys next time.